We are going to talk about degree of a polynomial, which is also known as exponent of a polynomial. In order to understand this, we'll first talk about degree or exponent of a term. Then we'll talk about degree or exponent of a polynomial. We'll also look at an example of x plus 1 by x, and we'll try to identify if this is a polynomial or not. Then we'll look some examples, and at the end we'll try to define different polynomials by looking into the degree of a polynomial. So let's understand degree of a term. We all know what is term, right? A single number is a term, a variable is a term, or you can combine number and multiple variables, and that is also a term, right? So let's take some example. So the degree or exponent of a term is determined by the power of the variable part. Every term will have a number part and a variable part. We are going to look into the variable part, and then we'll identify what is the power of that variable that gives me degree of the term. Here are some example. 5x to the power 5. Here, what is my variable part? X. And what is the power of it? 5. And hence the degree is 5. 6y square. What is my variable part? Y. What is power of y? 2. And hence degree is 2. 2a. What is my variable here? A. What is the power of a? 1. And hence the degree is 1. So we looked into three terms, and we look into identifying what is my variable part, and then we'll look into what is the power of the variable, and that gives me the degree of a term. Now let's take another look. 10. This is a term. Yeah, this is a term. Can you identify what is variable to this? Well, I cannot. But remember, any number can be multiplied or associated with any variable raised to the power 0. So if I can also represent 10 as 10 multiplied by x to the power 0. And hence I can represent 10 as 10x to the power 0. In this case, we can consider variable is x and the power of x is 0, and hence degree of 10 is 0. Let's take another example where you have mixed of variables within the term, like multiple variable within the term. Here 8x to the power 5 y to the power q is an example where I have two variable x and y, and the power of x is 5 and the power of y is 3, and hence degree of the term will be achieved by adding the power of each variable. In this case, it's 5 plus 3 equals to 8, and hence 8x to the power 5 yq has a degree of 5. Now let's understand polynomial. We all know polynomial is a combination of terms joined together by operators like addition and subtraction. Now, the degree or exponent of a polynomial is determined by degree of their highest term. Since they are combination of multiple term or series of multiple term, you got to look into each term and look to identify which term has a variable associated to it which is raised to the highest power. That gives you the degree or exponent of a polynomial. Let's take some example here. So I have an expression called 5x to the power 5, 3x plus 10. Which one? So this has got three terms. Which has got the highest power? 5x to the power 5. And hence degree of polynomial is 5. I have another example, 5x to the power 5 minus 3y to the power 7 plus 8. This is an example with three terms. It is using two different variables, x and y together, and they are all raised to different power. X is raised to 5 and y is raised to 7. Which term has a variable which has the highest power? It's minus 3y to the power 7, and hence degree of polynomial will be 7. Next, 5x to the power 5, 3x square y to the power 4 plus 12 is another example where again I have three terms. However, the middle term 3x to the power square and y to the power 4 has two variables x and y, and if I add their exponent I get 6, which is greater than 5, and hence the degree of polynomial will be 6. 35, is this a polynomial? Yes, this is a polynomial with one single term, and that term is 35, which can be represented as 35 to the power 35 multiplied by x to the power 0, and hence degree of polynomial is 0. Now let's take an example of x plus 1 by x. X plus 1 by x, is this a polynomial? This is not a polynomial. Why? Because this can be represented as x plus x to the power minus 1, where second term has exponent as minus 1, which is not whole number, and hence this cannot be polynomial. Remember, a polynomial is called a polynomial. I repeat, remember, a polynomial is only called polynomial when exponent or degree of all variable whose number, all variable is whole number for all terms. If for any term exponent of the variable is not whole number, then this will not be called polynomial. In this example, the second term has an exponent or degree as minus 1, which is not an whole number, so we cannot call this as a polynomial. Here are some other example. 5x to the power 5 plus 3x plus under root 10. Is this a polynomial? I have two terms having variable 5x to the power 5 and 3x, and both the variable has power or exponent as whole number, so this is a polynomial. 5x to the power 5 minus 3y to the power 1 by 2 plus 8. This has three terms, two variables x and y, but the second term has an exponent of 1 by 2, which is not a whole number, and hence this cannot be polynomial. Let's look into another example. X plus square root of x. Is this a polynomial? The answer is no, because x, square root of x, has x to the power 1 by 2, which is not a whole number. We have another example, x square plus cube root of x. Is this a polynomial? This is not a polynomial. Why? Because this can be represented as x square plus x to the power 1 by 3, where second term has exponent as 1 by 3, which is not a whole number, and hence this cannot be polynomial. How about x plus nth root of x? Is this a polynomial? No, because it can also be represented at x plus x to the power 1 by n, where 1 by n is not a whole number. Polynomial definition by degree. So now, since we understand degree of a polynomial, let's try to define some of the polynomial understanding degree of the polynomial. And we have linear polynomial. A polynomial with degree 1 is called linear polynomial. An example is 2x minus 10, 3x plus 7, etc. Question, x plus y is a linear polynomial. Is it true and false? Tick tick 1, tick tick 2. This is a polynomial and it has degree as 1. And this has two variables in x and y. And hence this is a linear polynomial. Quadratic polynomial. A polynomial with highest degree of 2 is called quadratic polynomial. Example is x squared plus 2x minus 10, y squared plus 3y plus 7, etc. Cubic polynomial. A polynomial with highest degree of 3 is called cubic polynomial. Example is x cubed plus 2x minus 10, y cubed plus y squared plus 3y plus 7, etc. Let's try to define polynomial for degree n. A polynomial in one variable x of degree n is an expression of the form an x to the power n plus an minus 1 x to the power n minus 1 and so on up to a1x plus a0, where a0 to an are all constants and an is not equal to 0. In particular, all a1 to an can be 0, and if so, we call them as zero polynomial. Question: what is the degree of zero polynomial? The degree of zero polynomial is not defined. Thank you for watching. You can visit us on www.classesfun.com.